Right, I think we're live. Impromptu unboxing time. I hadn't planned to do this, but yeah, unboxing video of Tabannusi, which arrived about 30 minutes ago. I'm doing a playthrough of it this afternoon, and Luke Hector's on his way round right now with his copy, which is what we were going to use for the playthrough. But thankfully, 5 days late, managed to arrive. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay in the chat. And yeah, we're going to be doing an unboxing video. And this is going to be one of those videos where I actually know a little bit about the game, because I learned how to play early this week, and we're doing 2 playthroughs of it this afternoon. First thing I can tell you is it's a big, heavy box. The box is, compared to the other T games, probably heavier, and that's because of what's in it, and you will see that once we open up. There's lots of buildings, lots and lots of buildings. So this is a co-design, Daniele Tascini and David Spada. And yeah, I don't know what the state of the components inside is, because yeah, it is heavy. There you go. You can see why it's heavy. There's a lot of these, a lot of plastic buildings. We'll have a zoom in on those later on. In fact, they're not the heavy things. No, they're not actually too heavy. Some more plastic buildings to mark the ownership of the different spaces. These are the player colours. Some dice, some cards. Not many cards in this game, but punch boards and a big board. So yeah, you can see the amount of card in there. Let's have a look at the board first. Let's get it out and try not to break it. So we've got how many sheets of punch card? I'm not sure why these are in plastic. They've started doing this more and more, and I don't know why. And I'm not a big fan of single-use plastic, but yeah, I don't know why I'm seeing it more and more. Surely we should be seeing less and less plastic, not more plastic. And that, yeah, I don't see the reason why. Well, I know the reason why they do it is because of the factory production, but games made in other parts of the world don't have single-use plastic. Right, we have a board which is upside down, because that's the way I roll. This is the 3 to 4 player side of the board. What we're going to be using this afternoon, we're going to be playing a 2-player game. So we're going to be using this side of the board, which looks slightly different. So yeah, players are going to be playing over 5 different districts. You've got 3 districts down here, which are the common districts, where you will be placing claims on areas and then constructing buildings. You've got the port here, and then you've got the ziggurat area here. And like all good Euro games, you have 3 tracks that you're going to be moving up on. So yeah, quite a nice game board. Little concerned when I first saw the board that it was going to be too much iconography, but having played the game once, the iconography on here is actually fairly clear, and the iconography here is an explanation of what the individual actions do, which once you know what the action does, the iconography actually does make sense. Yes, we can recycle single-use plastic as well at our local Tesco, which is great. Right, I'm just going to mute the microphone while I take this off. Because otherwise that might have been a bit too crinkly. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 punch boards. One of them is the player boards. So each player is going to have one of these. So fairly small player boards. Then you have these garden tiles. There's about 25 of these, I think, in the game. Let's just do the punch test. Yeah, it's okay. Quality's fine. Trying to bend it, it's not bending. So yeah, you're going to be placing gardens on here. So you've got to place water first, and then once water has been placed, you can then put gardens on top of the water, which I think makes sense. I guess you irrigate the area first. You've got these boats. You don't use these in your first game, it says, but I think what you can do is you can randomly place these once you've played. These aren't punching out that great. Just be a bit careful with these. There we go. Once you've played the game once or twice, you can shuffle these around and maybe place them on the different spaces so that the colours are slightly different. I guess that's what you do with that, which means you would need to switch these around as well. So basically, in the base game, this district here is the brown district, and to build a building in here requires you to use 2 brown dice. So in the advanced version of the game, if you randomly determine that that's the yellow district, you would need to place that action there to remind you that it actually costs yellow to build buildings instead of brown. So that's what these are. They're for the advanced game, a little bit of variability on the setup. We've got some ship tiles, which I described on Tuesday's game as technology tiles, because once you have claimed these ships, these will go, they'll be shuffled up together, and certain ships will randomly be placed around here. Once you've got a claim on a ship, it basically gives you an ability for the rest of the game. So I kind of describe them as technology tiles. Gold is one of the resources in the game. Gold is like common in these games. Gold is a wild card. You can use it as anything else. You have some ziggurat tiles. Punching these out. You'll pick 3 of these at the start of the game at random, and these are basically going to give you little objectives for different things. So every game's going to be different because of different tiles that come out. You've got some crate tiles that kind of work a little bit like resources. You've got some harbour master tiles that you'll place around here for anybody who manages to get a full row or column. And these are the project tiles. So I mentioned one of the things in the game is that you will be claiming areas within the districts. And what you do is you do that with these project tiles. And part of the player interaction, which we didn't see much in a 2-player game, but I think would be a lot more involved in a 3- and 4-player game, is that you'll be placing these project tiles on here. And when you place the project tiles, you'll be placing your claim markers on there. So for example, if I'm the red player, I decide to put that there and I claim that one. But then if another player comes along, let's say the purple player decides to come along and claim that, well, anybody can now convert this project into a building. Either the red player or the purple player, or in fact anybody. I believe anybody can convert this into a building. And basically, if another player has a claim marker on there, they're going to get a bonus. So you'll get the building, but the other player will get the claim marker. So it isn't just that you're placing these projectiles and then you're converting it into a building. As I say, any player could convert it into a building. So speaking of the buildings, and let's zoom in a bit, because we played on Tabletopia earlier in the week and you didn't really get the benefit of this, but these are really, really nice. So these are plastic buildings that come with the game. And let's just say, for example, that this here is converted into a building. This will be a size 2 building. So these pieces, they actually sort of go together like that. So this would be a size 2 building. So it's actually one building of size 2. Is Johannes in the chat? Johannes is in the chat. Johannes or Sunniva. And I know they've done a review of it, which I've not watched yet. So welcome. Thank you for joining in. So anyway, what you'll do is you'll convert that into a building. The building will go on there. And then the person who did that, the player who did that, which could be a different player completely, could be orange, will place their marker on one of those pieces, because that indicates that the orange player now owns this particular building. So yeah, as the game goes on, you're going to be basically placing buildings on these districts, and they're going to be worth points when it gets to the scoring. So yeah, a lot of these, I don't know what the RRP of this game is, but there's lots of these plastic buildings, and they're all really, yeah, then they're really nice. And then you will put the ownership markers on them like this. Now, the main action in the game is sort of dice drafting. So we talked about the brown area, and in a 2-player game, you're going to have 5 dice on each of the boats. They will be rolled at the start of the game. That's not a very different roll. There you go. And this bit's really clever. So when you go to a particular district, you have 2 markers that represent you. You have the architect and you have the assistant. Now the assistant is actually the main one, even though it's smaller meeple, because the assistant, that indicates the area where you're going to be taking your actions for this turn. But the first thing you do on your turn is you select one of the dice. So in this case, let's say that was I'm going to say that was a 6, just for the purposes of this example. You select one of the dice. Now, once you've selected the dice and you take it, the number is irrelevant, because it is just a brown resource. But at the moment you take it, the number is very relevant. If I've contradicted myself there, I apologise. What I mean is, once you have taken the dice and resolved the number is then irrelevant. But the first thing that happens is you take the dice and your architect moves to the district based on the number that you've taken. So if I take the 4, my architect moves to 4. And that is basically determining where I'm going next turn. If you choose the dice that matches your current region, you stay where you are. And if you choose a 6, I love this rule, this is brilliant. If you choose a 6, because there are only 5 districts, or 5 districts, you choose any number that isn't represented. So in this case, if I chose the 6, I could choose 2, 3, or 5. So it's about planning ahead where you want to go next. You think, oh, well, actually, I want to go to 5 next. So I'll take the 6, count it as a 5, move my architect to there. Now, your architect doesn't do anything for the rest of that turn. You are still in this district, and everything you do is in this district. Then at the end of your turn, you move to there. And essentially, once all of the dice in a particular district have gone, you do a scoring, and you do that 5 times, is it? Yeah, 5 times, and then you trigger the end of the game. That's essentially it. That's kind of an overview of the game. There's a lot more going on, but this is just a component overview. We've got some cards as well. Let's just have a look at the cards. Oh, we've got a little thing that I can take off, which is good. So let's just zoom in on here, see what we've got. We have these decree cards. Now, at the start of the game, a number of these decree cards are going to be chosen at random. They have to have different icons on them, because it's basically a category. And these are like objectives. So at some point during the game, if this is in play, if you've got 3 white buildings and 3 brown buildings on the board, you can claim this decree and you basically get the bonus straight away. So these are, again, you'll shuffle these and you'll pick 1 per player at the start of the game. They give you some objectives. We have urban building cards. These are end game objectives. Each player will get 1 of these at the end of the game. And it will basically give you 10 points at the end of the game if you have managed to build the buildings in the districts that it says on the card. And then we have the solo mode. Now, this afternoon, as I say, Luke Hector is on his way round from the Broken Meeple. We are going to be playing a 2-player game at 2 o'clock. So 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to be doing a 2-player tutorial and playthrough. And then as soon as we finish that, we are going to be setting up for the solo game. And that is planned for 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock this afternoon, GMT, we're going to be playing the solo game. Now, it is a solo game, but we're going to be playing it together, and we're going to be basically working together as one to play that. So yeah, Tabannusi Day here at Gaming Rules Headquarters. That is the plan. So yeah, join me later on today if you are interested. If you are a Patreon supporter of mine, then I am going to post a link to Slack in probably about 10 minutes' time. Because one of the things that I'm going to be doing in the next hour is I'm going to be learning how to play the solo mode myself. So yeah, I will post a link to Slack shortly where I basically learn the solo mode ready for this afternoon. That's it. We're all done. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters for funding the channel. And I will see some of you later on for either of the playthroughs. Take care, everybody. See you soon.